All right, everyone, welcome to Rhythm and Roads, Las Vegas. I'm your host, Joshua Jacob. On today's show, we have a very special guest, world-renowned magician, performer, author, and teacher of McBride's Magic and Mystery School. Welcome, Jeff McBride. Welcome to the
Thank you,
show.
Jeff.
Well, I am summoning myself from the ether here, so we're ready for magic.
Yeah. And I also have my co-host here, award-winning film director, writer, producer, Josiah Solis. Welcome to the show as well.
Thank you, everyone.
Yeah. All right,
Well,
let's
you said
Well,
you said that you went through a magic phase, Josiah, when you were a kid. How old were you when you did that?
so probably like 9 or 10. Yeah, I had a huge and my brother Josh also did it too. Like he had
Hmm.
a bit of a magic phase. We all kind of did.
Hmm.
We had I had the magic linking rings, of course, the classic cups and balls. Of course, I watched you on the World's Greatest Magic. I think that was like what in '95. So we had an old VHS recording of that, and I remember I saw your bit, and that it was a combination of course, your card magic, but also your masks when you did some of that. And I remember as even as a young kid, when you would do your card manipulation, that was just something that blew my mind. I remember I even had a dream about it, trying to figure it out in my dream.
Well, that's how Matt Franco started. He saw that show too, and he saw me,
Yeah, there we go. There
produce
we
the
go.
cards and pull cards out of the air, and then he decided that he wanted to be a magician. Now,
Oh my
interestingly
God.
enough, he was young too, and most, young boys and girls get into magic. They have it kicks in around, 7 or 8, 9, 10 years old, and they stick with it a couple of years until this thing called life comes along, and then magic goes away. And then it kind of comes back in midlife, and that's where our magic school comes in. Most of our students, I mean, we have some younger students, but most of our students are people that are returning to magic in midlife. They wake up in midlife and go, like, wait a minute, absolutely loved magic. It was thrilling to be able to create these astonishing moments for people. And for the magician themselves. It's amazing to experience the magic, to practice the magic. So our magic school is a lot for people that are coming back to magic in their 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s. I have a student named Buddy August. He's from Louisville. He started magic again. I mean, he liked it as a kid. It's 74 years old. And he's 78 now.
Wow.
And in 4 years, he's won all of these magic competitions across the country. And why is that? It's because he's got stories to tell from his 78 years of being on the planet. He has this like folksy way of telling stories and doing magic that relates to people. So it doesn't matter how young or old you are if you have a
Sure.
passion for magic. A lot of our people at our magic school are professional people that do magic, just because they love it and they want to do it well. So we have
Sure.
people who are executives or mortgage brokers and accountants and counselors and doctors, and they're professionals and they want to, approach magic and perform magic on that level.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so your what is it, the
The
water cups,
Rainmaker, the
the
Rainmaker. I
Rainmaker.
fooled Penn and Teller with that.
I saw that, and Penn was like, "There's nothing gimmicky about you," and he
Yeah.
was true. He was
Hmm.
true. And the thing is that like what you're saying, how many people come back to magic. What do you think is that? Do you think like they kind of get jaded with real life, and then now they kind of have to return back to some kind of like childlike like wonderment about the world, or what do you think is like I guess you can say the psychological aspect why people come back to magic in their midlife is because it's just like I focused on career. I've seen the worst of things. Now I kind of need to have that childlike wonder of making people impressed with something.
I think people not only need childlike wonder, they need adult wonder.
Sure. Okay.
you
Well
know
said.
and magic is really like an antidote to social media because it
Sure.
and AI and all of these technological things. Magic is so high touch. Magicians
Sure.
will never be in danger of being replaced by AI because of the experiences that they create and because of the high touch format of magic. So
Sure. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think I think people need to re-enchant their lives. They have to re-enchant the world. I think, everything is enchanting when you're a kid. It's a new discovery all the time. Every
Sure.
time you
Yeah.
walk through the woods and turn over a rock, it's a whole it's a whole movie,
Yeah.
then you're the star. And I think people, I
True.
mean, there's such a resurgence of magic right now with like all of
Mm,
the magic movies with the Now You See Me franchise and all of the magic on television and all of social media is filled with magic. I mean, it's just people love magic and there's nothing that can really duplicate the encounter of being at a magic show or the experience of having close-up magic happen in your hands. When
yeah.
something
No.
is
Yeah.
like when like somebody takes your ring and it's floating and you pass your hand over it and it's really levitating. That's
Yeah.
an experience that CGI and movies and all this high-tech technology cannot duplicate.
It's very much like theater. It's very much like theater. I mean, theater has been around since the Greeks, right? And
Mhm.
even with the advent of cinema, the advent of radio, the advent of video games, especially realistic video games, like theater has just thrived. Even in the advent of AI, I think more people, like you, to your point, are going back to the theater because they're just like, this is something uniquely human, and magician and sleight of hand has been around since the ancient Egyptians, and there's just something that is uniquely human in our origin about magic. So what got you into magic? Like, was there someone that you saw and you're just like, I gotta do this?
And I was really initiated into magic by books. I wanted
Wow.
to, it's interesting, I was interested in, the rhythmic arts. I was really wanted to be a drummer as a kid. And right next to
Oh.
in the library, right next to the music books were the magic books. So I was
Hmm.
working my way through the M's of the library and I found this book and it said the first rule of magic is don't reveal your secrets. And I said,
Sure.
somebody made a horrible mistake by letting this book in the library. I should make it disappear for a while.
That's
And
funny.
and and in doing so, I was the only kid in school doing magic because I had the magic
Really?
book.
Wow.
Right, and then I went
Wow.
on a relentless hunt for magic books to libraries and schools because that was the only way you could get it. It wasn't anywhere else. And I grew up kind of in a rural area in upstate New York, and there were no magicians. The
Sure.
only place magic existed was books, and you had to find those books and you had to track down those books. I sound like an
Yeah,
old guy right now. In my day, we didn't have the interwebs and all of that. We had to like walk miles to the library and hope they had a
That's
magic book.
funny.
I knew my
Oh
Dewey
yeah.
Decimal System and, knew where those magic books were. And I would visit other schools and other libraries and other counties
yeah.
to try to track down the books.
Did
Yeah,
you did you like was there at least some kind of gag shop or a gift shop that maybe
nothing.
they had small little things?
No, no, there
Yeah.
wasn't. And magic toys weren't even popular. And,
Yeah.
occasionally you would find like a little magic set somewhere, with a couple of tricks in it. But, like you had one toy store in town, that was it.
Sure.
And
Yeah.
if they
Yeah.
didn't
Yeah.
have it,
Yeah.
you didn't have magic. So it was, wasn't like it was now where you could just hop online and just surf the web all day and,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah. Yeah.
but it made it more valuable, though. It really
Sure.
made the learning and the secrets more
Yeah.
valuable to when you hunted them down. Now, what's happening is there's too much information, and
Sure.
people get lost in this jungle of opportunity. And where we come in is we curate the right kind of magic for the right student at their skill level for the type of stories and presentation that
Mm,
they want to make. Because if you don't have a guide through the jungle, you can get caught in the weeds. And we see it
mm,
happen all
mm-hmm.
the time.
Mm-hmm.
People spend too much money on junk, on stuff that's advertised well. There's very sexy ads out there that make it look like you're going to be a wizard in moments, and that's simply not the case. So
Mm-hmm.
a lot of our students come to our school to have a guide to and a mentor to navigate this territory because one of the things that our school offers is a complete curriculum from trickster through
Mm,
the phase of sorcerer, which is like stage magic and doing magic as a business. Then the next phase of the kind of work is oracle, which is the psychic arts, mentalism, and mind reading, and that sort of mystery entertainment. And then finally, the later
Hmm.
stages of magic is the sage, who is the the writer and the teacher and the mentor and the historian and the person that's the keeper of the lore to pass it on to the next generation.
Sure.
Magic is this long road that has many pitfalls along the way and
Hmm.
challenges and quests. And it's good to have a Merlin or a Gandalf at your
Sure.
side that
Yeah.
has navigated the path before.
Did you spend I think I saw that you spent some time in Japan, correct? And you was there any type of magic that was solely you learned over there? Like, oh, I've never seen this before. I'm sure there has been, right?
Well, some of the most stunning magic is, there's the traditional style of Japanese magic, which is very elegant, very minimalistic. And one of the things I've been trying to master my entire life is what they call the Japanese butterfly illusion, where you tear a little piece of paper into a butterfly, and then the butterflies dance around a fan, and then multiply, and then there's a whole series of sequences of dances that the butterflies make. That's a beautiful thing, and like a lifelong study. It's not just like you learn it and do it. And then there's some
Wow.
spectacular pieces of magic, like this thing called mizuge, where the magician comes out on stage and, opens a fan and closes a fan, and a water fountain shoots from the tip of the fan, and then he can change it from finger to finger and then put it on a sword blade, and then assistants
Mm.
come out and he passes the water fountain from his finger to their fingers to the top of their head, and at the end the entire stage is like the Bellagio fountains, but in miniature, of water sprouting from everywhere that the magician touches.
Wow.
It's
Wow.
astonishing, and
That's
it's not
amazing.
about the secret. It's about the incredible amount of practice and timing and resources that go into creating something as beautiful as this. It's the learning how the trick is done is not the magic. The magic is the years of practice and development and research and choreography and showmanship and stagecraft and lighting and rehearsal and costuming and props and equipment that go into it.
Yeah.
Penn and Teller says, one of the things that makes magic work is that people have no idea how long the magician practices to do something that lasts a second.
Sure.
They have
Yep. Yep.
no idea what it takes. A lot of people think it's like, these little gimmicks do the magic, but it's not. When you see a great sleight of hand artist, there's a moment that has to be invisible, and it takes years and years and years to make this moment where the magic happens, which is unlike, I'd say, almost any other art form. I mean, we could talk about it all day, but in most other art forms, the technique is forward. The
Mm.
technique is on display with dance or music virtuosity. You see the technique. And if you see the technique in magic, then the moment's spoiled. You realize it's 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 mechanical or physical or whatever the modus operandi to accomplish the illusion is, but the technique has to be invisible. And I
Hmm.
think that's what separates magic from other art forms.
When was there at all
Interesting.
any buzz or frustration when that TV show The Masked Magician was on? Was there a big stir in the community?
Well, yeah, yeah. I mean, that again, the knowing how the trick is done is not the secret of how the magic works. And
Yeah.
the magicians know more about the secrets of magic than anyone, and they're more passionate about magic than anyone. So it's the
Hmm.
more you know about magic, the more you can get swept deeply inside of the embrace of magic. So Lance Burton had a funny kind of commentary on it. He said, I don't know if you've ever met Lance, but he's a real smart guy. And I said, like,
Hmm.
Lance, what'd you think of that masked magician guy? And he goes, Jeff, I learned a lot of good tricks. And then
That's
somebody, like,
funny.
I was working at Caesar's Palace at Caesar's Magical Empire when that happened. Uh, and there's a magician named Jonathan Pendragon from the Pendragons. He does grand illusions.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
And he came out on stage the night after this thing aired, and he goes, "Last night was one of the darkest days for magic ever. The masked magician exposed the Chinese linking rings and the sawing and
Mm.
illusion. And now, ladies and gentlemen, I shall perform both of those illusions and fool you." And he did. And he went out. And, if people think they know how a piece of magic is done, a good magician can immediately use that information to deceive them on a much higher level.
Sure.
So, it's a chess game. It's a chess
Yeah.
game. And if you come to the table of a chess master with a few moves, you don't stand a chance. So, I mean, you can watch a couple of episodes of the Masked Magician, but it's not good. It's not going to help you against a master.
No, that's actually a good point because I'm sure there's not just one way to perform a trick,
Oh
right?
no.
There's
Oh,
variations for
oh
sure.
yes. Oh yes. That's the whole game.
No, that's
Yeah,
funny.
that's awesome. Josh, do you want to say something?
Yeah, I was gonna ask you, how's the magic and mystery school changing the landscape of the magic arts?
Well, before our school, there were other ways to study magic. There were some courses. Um, there was again back in the 20s, Harlan Tarbell had the Tarbell system of magic, which was a correspondence course where you'd get mailed a lesson of magic every month, and then people would collect them. But you didn't really have a mentor or a guide. And around the same time, magic organizations like the Society of American Magicians and the International Brotherhood of Magicians in America and around the world, there's other magicians kind of fraternities that started, which had monthly meetings and they would have lectures, but they didn't have a curriculum. It wasn't like they had a curriculum, and not every student that enters into magic uh, has to go through the same learning process, because some people have natural ability and some people don't. But
Hmm.
as my um, teacher, Eugene Berger, said, there's great magic that's available to all age levels and all skill sets. You don't have to be incredibly skillful to be a mystery artist if you work some of the other areas, like psychological magic, or some mentalism doesn't demand a high degree of technical manual skill.
Sure.
It's a psychological art. So
Like
there's
Wes Craven, right? Or not Wes Craven. What's his name?
you said
The
Oz Perlman, right? Oz Perlman is the big mentalist that's out there these days.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he was he was on TV and doing a lot of stuff on 60 Minutes. He's very, very popular and an exemplar of this highly psychological, theatrical art. And there's a lot of magicians are secret collectors. They're not necessarily performers, but some people collect Hummels, and some people collect stamps, and some people
Yeah.
collect model railroad cars, and some people collect secrets. They're secret collectors, and they're very knowledgeable. And I have friends that are not performers, but they have a comprehensive knowledge of the history of magic. They might write on
Mm.
magic. They might um, be historians on magic. They're not necessarily performers. So there's, as Eugene Berger used to say, there's many rooms in the house of magic. You
Sure.
see
Sure.
you see performers, you see sleight of hand artists, you see mind readers, you see grand stage illusionists, but there's a lot of people behind the scenes that are designers. I'm working with a man right now, Martin Hart from England, and he designs these extraordinary illusions that he teams up with other performers, and they perform the illusions.
Wow.
There's people
Yeah.
like Jim Steinmeier, who's a sage in our world, who was an illusion designer for Doug Henning and Broadway shows and many of the top illusionists around the world. He designs the illusions. He's a pretty good performer and he's a great thinker, and he comes up with these extraordinary psychological and mathematical and technical marvels. And he's an incredible historian and an incredible writer. You won't
Mm-hmm.
see him on, well, you will see him on television because he's often engaged as an expert to come in to give commentary on documentaries on magic. So you
Sure.
see him there. Then there's,
What
yeah.
Oh yeah, I have a question. Because you do a lot of, as you said, like a lot of intimate sleight of hand magic. What is in your mind? What is like the fulfillment, or I guess the reason why you've stuck to that kind of magic as compared to like say like David Copperfield, who does like grand stage magic and grand stage illusions. Even as you mentioned, Lance Burton. Lance Burton did a lot of kind of intimate tricks. He didn't really go into like the big.
Oh,
He
no,
did
no,
some bigger
no.
tricks.
I mean, Lance Burton did flying cars, you know?
Oh, that
Oh,
yeah,
yeah. I
and he
mean, he
did.
did big, he had a big stage show. I do, everything has its season. And in my 30s, 40s, and 50s, I did illusion show. I toured the world with, dancers and performers and musicians and big illusions and levitations and appearances and, you know, and I call that the sorcerer phase of magic.
Mm,
That big style of magic. Now, I think it has to do with origins and magicians who live. Now, I moved from upstate New York to Manhattan when I was about 18, 19 years old. And I lived in a studio apartment
mm,
and I didn't have a car. So I wanted to be a big, like, stage illusionist, but
hmm
we don't quite have the practice area in a studio apartment in Manhattan.
hmm
So I had to learn how to pack small and play big.
Sure.
And get all of my props into a taxi. And then when I get to the venue to do a big show. And I ended up working Radio City Music Hall, which is 6,000 seats, doing a visual show with no camera support. They didn't do like the video camera thing back then. This was like 80s when I was working Radio
Mm.
City Music Hall,
Wow.
opening up for Diana Ross at Radio City Music Hall. So I had to learn how to pack small and play big. Now, most magicians that live in inner cities become close-up magicians
Yeah.
because it fits the terroir of it fits the territory. The natural environment is small, compact city. You're in parties
Sure.
in smaller rooms.
Yeah.
Illusionists that do giant illusions come from Michigan, where there are barns.
Yeah.
And grandpa has a wood shop.
Yeah.
Lumber's cheap. And everybody has a pickup truck and can park it anywhere. That doesn't
hmm
happen in Manhattan,
Sure.
you know? So the geographic area that a person will grow up in will inform the type of magic that is possible. You can't have these big boxes in a studio apartment. You can't get them through the door. So
Yeah.
a lot of the magicians like Brett Daniels that's out there and Kevin James who tours with the Illusionist, Michigan.
mm
You know, they say the capital of magic is Abbott's Magic Manufacturing in Colon, Michigan. And all
mm
of these magicians flock to Colon, Michigan in August for this, big magic convention that's been going on like 100 years or so. Because like Michigan, Midwest is a place where the great illusionists like Blackstone and all of these, the big box magicians, the big vaudeville and
Yeah.
Age of Magic kind of guys, they came out of these kind of rural areas where there was space. So
Sure.
sometimes just the space around you informs the type of magic you do.
Yeah. So I have another question about, because I went on your website for your mystery school. What are some ways that you seem to be kind of like embracing the philosophy of what you're doing? Like you mentioned, like the sage, and are
Mhm.
you following, like, is how do I say it? Like, would you rank yourself as kind of like a wizard in kind of like in that philosophy
Well,
or
yeah,
anything
I
like
mean,
that?
in the mystery school path of mastery, the journey from trickster, sorcerer, oracle, and sage. I'm in that sage area now. I'm
Yeah,
spending
yeah.
more time. I work mostly on Zoom every day in this medium,
Okay.
teaching magic because Zoom is really good for teaching magic. And I teach
Mm,
magic to individuals all over the world every day. And then we have group
that's awesome.
classes here at the school. And then, like just last week, I just returned from Brazil where I was performing on stage and doing a big stage show for a big
Wow.
international magic convention and lecturing and doing a master class. So I'm still performing, but I love passing the magic on to future generations. In Brazil, it's Mágica do Futuro. Magician of the future, the magicians of the
Wow.
future. Yes, that's in
How did how,
Portuguese.
how did COVID like affect your magic school? I'm sure it didn't really affect you at all, right? You
Well, I'll
still
tell you,
probably
here's the weird thing. Our our school was so popular
mm,
that our enrollment like quadrupled during COVID. And why is this? Well, for years before this, we were live streaming
mm,
before Zoom. So we were all dialed in and we had a set up community online. So all of these magicians that were cut off from each other found our magic school because they'd heard about it for years. And
wow.
most people, when we were on live stream, um, you needed a photon browser and you needed to go click this and a plug-in here, and people didn't have time for that. But then COVID hit and everybody had to learn Zoom, and we switched over to Zoom.
Yeah.
And we were
Hmm.
here dialed in with curriculum and programming and we had all of our studio people that were running our studios, and everybody found our school, and our school has been really popular ever since. I mean, we were just singing our song there, doing our classes, every
Yeah.
online, and people would show up, but then COVID hit and like all of a sudden, bup, 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 and it was
Yeah.
it was massive. And magic is really good on Zoom. I mean, magic is is very accessible because Zoom is such an immediate medium. It's so personal. It's so intimate.
Hmm.
I can show you. It's like, okay, gentlemen, observation test. What color is the rope?
Oh yeah. Mm.
And
Oh
I mean, that's
man,
immediate magic.
amazing.
Simple and in 1 second. Or you can, if you're engaging an audience for more time, you can do uh, more intimate magic that takes storytelling skills.
Sure.
And people accept Zoom without camera tricks, that there
Yeah.
are camera tricks. Because you can't really fake a Zoom screen. People have tried, but I mean, like here, Eugene Berger used to do this. Watch the seven. This is the world's fastest card trick.
There you go.
I mean,
Mm.
Amazing.
and look how
Look how quick. Wow.
immediate that is, right? It's so
Yeah.
good. And sometimes Zoom is like almost better than live because you can do things like this. Watch the jack. This is the saw the man in half instead of saw the lady in half. Look, and you can
There
do
we
that.
go.
You see? That you can't do live. That looks pretty great, right?
Great.
There we go.
Well done, sir. Well
Beautiful.
done. That was
Beautiful.
amazing. Yes. Awesome.
I
Wow.
just sit here and I love performing all day long on Zoom.
Well,
It's so
that's
great.
and I think I did some. Did you happen to perform also for President Trump? Did you do that?
With I've performed for presidents. I've performed at the White House numerous times for
Oh wow. Okay, I didn't know that.
different presidents. Yeah, I've performed for the crowned heads of Monaco, Princess Stephanie and Prince Albert, and
Wow.
yeah,
Wow.
right. Prince
That's
Rainier
amazing.
back when he
Wow.
was alive, back in the 80s. Yeah. So
Wow.
haven't performed for the English royalty yet, but one of these days,
Yeah, one of these
but
days.
magicians have always been kind of court entertainers. There's always
Sure.
been
The court
famous
jesters,
stories.
right?
Yep, that's exactly it.
Well, Jeff,
Yeah.
I really appreciate you coming on Rhythm and Roads Las Vegas, and I would hope to meet you soon down the road because I live
Well,
here in Vegas. So,
here's a place where you can meet. For 17 years, we've had an underground magic evening called
really?
Wonderground. Wonderground, yeah, it's a 3-hour experience with close-up magic and
Oh
stage
my
magic and
God.
strolling magic. And we don't advertise because it's really just open to magicians.
Oh
But it's at a
wow.
place called the Olive Mediterranean on Sunset and Sand Hill. And we do it every third Thursday. It's called the Wonderground. And if you look up Las Vegas Wonderground, not Wonderland, Wonderground,
Yeah.
because it's
Underground.
underground, it's like Wonderground.
Yeah.
Uh, and I've been doing it for years, and I passed it on to my one of my apprentice, Will Bradshaw, who's running it and producing it now. But it's extraordinary. The third Thursday at the Olive Mediterranean on Sunset and Sand Hill, Las Vegas Wonderground. And you can always reach our magic school if you're interested. If people are listening to this and they go, "Oh wow, I would like to do magic." Yeah. Or that's right. I loved magic when I was a kid. I want to get back into it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's a great passion. It really is. And there's there's magic clubs in this town. There's the Darwin Magic Club that's a free magic club that's been running every Wednesday night for over 50 years,
Wow.
Wow.
That's
right?
Wow.
And
fantastic.
then there's the International Brotherhood of Magicians Phantasma Ring
Okay.
that meets, every month. So there's a lot of magic in this town, and you can access,
Sure.
just, contact me at magicalwisdom.com or look up McBride's Magic and Mystery School.
Okay. Well,
Beautiful.
thank you. Yes, it
Well,
was such a pleasure to have you on the show, and thank you, Josiah, also for joining us. But
Yeah. It was
yes,
it was a pleasure meeting you, Mr. McBride.
well, now I have to disappear.
yes, thank you.